going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, although not a lot has really happened with this price action ever since we had this dump, we've pretty much just been consolidating sideways around that $26,000 area, dipping below it ever so frequently. Why is nothing happening? Well, everyone's waiting for what is going to happen Monday because we saw that there was a lot of correlation between the stock market dumping and the DXY pumping and Bitcoin subsequently acting as a risk asset, right? Now, we've been very optimistic on Bitcoin while a lot of other YouTubers and channels and gurus and analysts, whatever you want to say, were calling for lower lows, $10,000 Bitcoin. But the question is now, have we actually reached that point, right? Because as you guys can see right here, granted, we did not wick, okay, below this level right here, which is good. We're still putting in a higher low, but this big red weekly candle, is lower than this green candle right here. So, I mean, I'm just pointing out that the structure looks like it could be changing. What does this mean? Well, I want to talk about something related to Bitcoin liquidity, Bitcoin's liquidity crunch, right? Now, we know that this is really good for price when there are not a lot of Bitcoin on exchanges and the demand is high. But what happens when it's the other way around? That's what we need to talk about, and that opens it up to potential manipulation. Now, of course, I do have my opinions on those. We'll talk about that. But just to kind of play devil's advocate, what is the situation with Evergrande? And if there was to potentially be a recession, what if all these, billionaires that are calling for it, what if they're right? What would Bitcoin do? Is Bitcoin recession proof? Well, we're going to talk about the hypotheticals. Make sure you stick around to the very end of this video because I think you're going to appreciate the content. It's very eye-opening, but there is some jaw-dropping data that I just can't ignore and I have to share with you. So I want to keep today's video a little bit shorter, guys. I want to get straight to the point. If you have not subscribed yet and you're watching this video, well, you know what to do. We go over this stuff every single day. So again, having a look at the weekly, we do have this candle. And then if we switch it to the monthly, this candle, yeah, it's the lowest candle that we've had, if this is the fifth month, right? So the past four, we were up here. So yes, we are in fact putting in a very, very red month. It is in fact following the S&P. Now, like El Crypto Professor pointed out, the RSI, which I wanted to show you yesterday, whenever we get the RSI at these levels, he says it's the lowest that we've had in 20 months. And every time we see it go below 30, we've seen Bitcoin have a pump anywhere between 28% and 60%. No reason to be bearish, right? And, if we have a look at Bitcoin right here, this is what I was trying to put in perspective yesterday. So ever since we've been climbing, right back here in February, look at this. We came over here into March. We had a 22% drawdown, right? Look, from the highs right here to the highs down here, we had a 20% drawdown, right? So we've already had two 20+% drawdowns. And what do we have so far here? We have about 18%, and it didn't even get down to 20 at its lowest, okay? So what we're seeing right now isn't even worse than the previous two pullbacks that we've had on the way up here, right? It's just for some reason everyone's freaking out because they got really used to, price going up and then it got boring and then it fell. So now it's psychological. But again, if we do have a look at this RSI, you do have to realize that not every single time the RSI gets completely oversold, do we necessarily have an immediate bounce. Even down in some of these areas, we could still consolidate a little bit before having that move, right? And this isn't the first time, by the way, that we've, been sitting below some of these major averages. I mean, look how long we were below the 50 here. We're below it again, right? And if you kind of have a look, there's not much of a difference between this move and this move. They're very similar, but I think it was because the markets got so boring and then it fell to the downside that people freaked out. Because if we have a look over here at our EMA ribbon, when our EMA ribbon tends to flip, it very rarely instantly flips back again. I mean, COVID was the exception, right? That's like the big sort of black swan event. But you could see right here, we had been talking about this on the weekly, and we were getting that flip, right? We almost had full confirmation on the flip. We even had this moving over the 89, which usually signals that we are definitely ready to move to the upside. And it's not impossible to see dips below these ribbons on the way up, right? If we come over here, yes, we did test this level, 25.3. We've been talking about it for a while. That was our main goal, to actually test it. And you know what? There could be a possibility of maybe some more consolidation on that just to build that level before moving to the upside. But what if we do fall? Hypothetically, let's say what happens if Bitcoin goes lower? Well, we still have this major trend right here. The thing is, we weren't in a parabolic trend, right? We were not in a parabolic trend. So to say that we were full on, in the heat of the bull market, no, we weren't, okay? We're in this sort of recovery phase after the massive drawdown from the top. And if you go back here, you could see that these types of phases take a while to play out. And if we come back over here and we have a look at the VPVR, you can actually see that my page is being weird. Sometimes I really hate these updates on TradingView. Anyway. So as you guys can see right here, we have massive interest down here at the VPVR of 20,000. And you can see we already did technically have that retest down there. I consider that to be pretty solidifying that if anybody was going to sell, they would have already done it. This is an area of interest for these guys, but will they be able to actually get the price down to that level again? And why do I keep referring to this as will they? Well, that's where the manipulation is going to come in, and I'll explain why it's a lot easier now than it let's say was about a year ago. So this is the upward sloping trend. And yes, Bitcoin could come down theoretically to about 23,130, after bouncing around, whatever. And that would still be fine. Even if we wicked below it, retested the level at 23 and then continued. Nevertheless, though, we are still in an uptrend. And even though it does look bad, this is higher than this, which is higher than this, which is higher than this. So technically, we're still putting in higher lows, and these are higher highs, right? This peak is higher than this peak. So technically, the market is still moving in an upwards trend. We have this major legacy trend line all the way starting back here from July of 2017. And even if we fall below this level that we were talking about, you still have this major trend that we've never fallen below. And if Bitcoin was to fall straight down today, which is not going to do that, but if it was, here's the kicker, 20,700, which is why, again, looking at the VPVR, looking at this trend, I just don't think you're getting I don't think you're getting that price. I don't think the bears are going to win this one, right? And then again, we do have the CME futures gap. In order to close that, you'd have to go up to about 27,470. And like Dave the Wave is pointing out, it's all about perspective. 2.5 years ago, the current price would have been a little bit too high to buy. But now, a reasonable investment along the lines of Bitcoin, the LGC for those without exposure, not to mention the long-term MACD, cross bullish and poised just below the zero line. And again, as I've been telling you guys, literally anything below this legacy logarithmic trend has been an opportunity to buy. So you could wait. Maybe you'll get 20K. I don't know. We could have a flash crash. We've had worse. We've had 50% crashes before, and then we've seen recoveries. But I just think that sitting on the sideline may not be the greatest idea. Of course, not financial advice, but let's talk about this, because this is a little bit scary. So James Butterfill, he's the head of research at CoinShares, an investment group that said that the market response to SpaceX's Bitcoin depreciation and sale was strengthened by lower trading volumes and reduced volatility in the market. He said that this made the market extremely sensitive to much larger transactions. I absolutely agree with him. However, I think the SpaceX Bitcoin news, first of all, selling some, that was before we even had the you know what I'm saying? So that's the market reacting to something. That's not the cause of it, right? But something that can cause it is, according to the data from CCD Data, an information provider in the cryptocurrency industry, they said that, listen to this, only 463 Bitcoin, or about 12 million, would need to be sold in order to bring Bitcoin's price down 1%. Now, to put that into perspective, okay, back when we had the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank and all that, you needed about 856, which was around 17 million. So it was a little bit higher. So what am I trying to say? Well, here's the deal, okay? Yes, it's a good thing that the coins are off exchanges. Yes, they're going into individual holders' wallets, right? But what is that actually doing? It is creating a liquidity crisis, a liquidity crunch. Now, when there's massive demand, what happens? Well, if there's not a lot of supply and there's more demand, simple economics, price goes up because people bid higher. But what about on the flip side, right? Because we're seeing, the potential of maybe a recession, right? We're seeing all these coins come off. We're not seeing retail buying as much. So this makes it a lot easier for them to manipulate the price, right? So it actually works in both ways. So having low liquidity in a negative environment could actually be just as detrimental as low liquidity in a bull environment, right? And having a look right here, CZ says, is Bitcoin, well, he's responding to an article, is Bitcoin's bubble about to burst? Bloomberg analysts take on looming recession. Yeah, for this one, I was actually waiting for these titles. So here we go again, basically saying, okay, if you see these articles, Bitcoin's dead, Bitcoin's dying, that usually means, hey, we should probably be buying, right? Bitcoin's dying, we should be buying, right? That's the phrase. But in all sincerity, I saw this post over on Reddit, and I just wanted to share this with you guys. So this person says, ever since the news of Evergrande filing for Chapter 15 bankruptcy in the U.S., rumors and speculations have been swirling regarding the direction of the economy. If the Chinese government were to let things unfold, it is quite possible that the Chinese economy would go into a recession, since 30% of its GDP is tied up in real estate. As a result, the rest of the economies around the world would follow suit, since many economies are in trade with China, and China being the second largest economy in the world. So in its simplest form, what is a recession? Well, it can be defined as a significant widespread downturn in economic activity. A recession would constitute a sustained period of weak or negative growth in GDP, followed by an increasing unemployment rate. So just stopping for a quick second, this is something that could happen. Now, these guys have been calling for doom and gloom for recession for 2 straight years. We didn't get it. Nothing happened, right? So that's what I was saying over on Twitter. A broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah, eventually something's going to break, maybe, possibly, right? And if it does, it could affect Bitcoin, right? If we don't have that retail demand, if the average person can't afford to pay their bills, how are they going to be able to buy Bitcoin, right? They may even have to sell their Bitcoin, not because they want to, but because they have to survive, right? To pay bills, to get by. That's a scary thought. It hasn't happened yet. We're not seeing it. We may not get a recession. I mean, it's been a lot of talk. Where is it? Where is it, right? But I have seen a lot of videos coming out lately, though, where a lot of people are complaining about the difficulty of living. And, I think it was 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and like the other 30 something percent only have enough for like a week or two. Like, you know what I mean? So if we look at the history of recessions, and this is just devil's advocate, right? Let's say this happens. We don't usually stay in them. The biggest one was the Great Depression in the 30s. That lasted 43 months. But if you look right here, we've only had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, looks like 16 or 17. They count the pandemic, which was 2 months. But if you look at this, the average duration of a recession is only 10 months. It's not that crazy if you think about it. I mean, worst case scenario, if the bull market had to get pushed away, 10 months, right? But here's the even crazier thing. If you look historically at bull and bear markets, and then you can see these gray lines right here, each one of these grays represent recessions, and each one of these yellows represent bear markets. So just look at these. This is dating all the way back to 1942, and this is obviously just the S&P 500. Just take it with a grain of salt. And you could see right here that the majority of these bull runs last a very long time. I mean, 4-year bull run, 11-month bear market. Okay, and then you have a 1.5 little thing right here. But of course, this is the 40s. There's like wars going on. So we have 12 months here, and then 7 years of a bull market. So I'm not going to go over every single thing, but I think it's very obvious that even if we were to get a recession, if people are freaking out, I mean, we don't tend to stay down there very long. So there's a chance we may not even have one. But if we do, you could see right here, look at also the returns on these after this, okay? So, you have these drawdowns, 21%, 28%, 22%. But look at the returns on the flip side. Going back to the 1950s, these are the returns after each one of these recessions, which on average only last 10 months, and we may not even get one, okay? So this one right here, 267%, 80%, 80%, 50%, 73, 125, 230, 582%, 100%, 400%, okay? So I think what I'm trying to say here is this is not the time, in my opinion, to be panicking, okay? I just think that right now there's a lot of people not paying attention, and they're going to miss out on a lot of these opportunities. So I just wanted to bring you guys this video today, let you guys know some of those levels that we're looking at. It is possible. I would keep our eye on the S&P. And again, we have to see where Bitcoin reacts, because we do, of course, have, we did get rejected at the area that we thought we would, but we also have the, where's this, the CME futures gap? Right here. right here, up at around 27.4, which usually does tend to get closed, at some point. And of course, we have, legacy trend lines also supporting us, and we still are putting in higher highs and higher lows technically. So until that structure gets broken, I mean, yeah, we broke the uptrend, but big deal. Markets do that all the time. We could chop sideways, right? So that's it for me, guys. Thank you for coming back to the channel. I know it was like a lot of technical jargon today. There wasn't really too much going on in the news, but I did just want to bring you this video to just let you know what I'm looking at, what's going on. Make sure you guys get subscribed, turn on the bell notification. We will be going over this as the, markets and news and things happen. So that's it for me. Thank you so much. Did go a little bit longer than I wanted to today, but who's really surprised, right? Thanks again for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I make these videos. Make sure you check out the tutorials popping up right here, right now. $56,000 in bonuses below. And of course, if you guys do want to go to Bitcoin Amsterdam, use the link below, code ZOMBIE. That's it for me. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.